Hello, I'm Janet.
And I'm Ashley.
And we are two girls and a bottle of wine.
Oh, man, I thought we were on it.
I know. Because...
Oh, is that my line? Because men like boobs.
And girls like wine. When I first started this podcast in 2012, I didn't want to say the boobs part because I was shy and I didn't know who would listen. So I've never been the one to say that line.
Where did it come from? Like, where did the history of that come from?
The original co-host and I, Ashley, we wanted to branch out to not just be female centric. So we were like, well, we need to grab men in the intro too. So yeah, even though most of our topics are pretty female centric.
I have a couple guy friend listeners.
Good. What are their names? Say hi to them.
The ones that I know of who have listened before are Eric, Spencer, and Lane. So hi if any of those three are listening.
Right? Hello.
We appreciate you.
Yes.
I'm sure you're a small percentage of our listenership.
Right. Right. And you should let us know what to talk about that maybe you might be more interested in.
You know, the funny part is that at least one of those men is like heavily into Bachelor.
Oh,
so
good.
He would be like, oh, I completely disagree with all you guys said about blah, blah, blah.
You should take note of those and share them with us. It would be good because my husband doesn't. Like, I had posted the selfie of Ben and I for Ben's night on The Bachelor, greatest of all time or whatever. And Steve was like, oh, it's Bachelor night. And I was like, yeah, the best one, Ben Higgins. And he had no response. I was like, yeah, okay.
It's funny because Pat is like totally on board with this new way of watching Bachelor. And
I love it.
He's like, just give me all of the. I'll watch every season if it's like this. It's all buttoned up and.
Well, what they should do is if they want to do the whole season, that's great. But then right before, like after the final rose, they should do like the recap that they're doing now. Right. After the proposal, after the final rose, it'll give them an extra week.
It's true, and everybody who didn't want to watch or maybe missed a couple weeks,
I bet they'll have the highest ratings. Yeah.
I wonder what their ratings are. That would be interesting to look at.
I know I thoroughly enjoy it. Even, I had watched Ben Higgins' season, but I was very excited to see his recap.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm interested to see how it looks when it catches up to a season that I've seen.
Got it.
Just so I can compare and see if this is really a better way to watch it.
It's interesting because Ben's season was so long ago, in theory. I was reminded of things like the final three. I couldn't remember who the third person was. She was not in my brain anymore.
Got it.
And she's not in my brain anymore right now because Kara?
Yeah, Kayla.
I
think it was Kayla.
And she was adorable.
Yeah, she was a little cutie. A ball of energy.
So much energy. So before we get into Bachelor, what's going on with you? What's new with you? You're solo right now. Like, Pat's not home.
We're super solo because Amber's not here tonight.
Mm-hmm.
She's surviving from her little vacation.
Yeah, she had a massive road trip.
Recuperating, really.
We need to hear the recap next week because I was really looking forward to the recap.
Me too. Because I know they were in a cabin and I was like, ooh, private time at a cabin sounds awesome. Especially like right now. If you were going to travel anywhere and spend time anywhere, a remote cabin sounds like a good idea.
Mm-hmm. Away from the peeps.
Yeah, no, I'm solo for the next few days. Patrick is in DC right now, but they're driving to Virginia, I think tomorrow to go. One of his best friends is getting married.
Oh, wow.
And they were originally supposed to have a really big wedding. I think it was like almost 200 people. Or maybe it was over 200 people. I don't know. But then obviously because of COVID, they had to adjust their guest list. and they now are doing less than 50 people. But all of the festivities, bless you. I was like, I knew it was coming.
Yeah, you saw my face? I'm like, oh, it's coming. Okay. All the festivities?
All the festivities are outside. So they're getting married outside. It's at a vineyard. Even the place that they're staying is like one of those properties that has multiple little cabins built on it that they rented out the entire property. So sorry, that was weird.
There was like a click.
Yeah. I heard it too. Is somebody sneaking in?
Big Brother listening. Do we have a third co-host?
But so he's like not super concerned about catching COVID. But I, because of my health history, decided not to go. Mm-hmm. I think if like the COVID situation was a little bit more contained, I probably would have gone. But I told him, I was like, this is one of your best friend's weddings. You're going to regret not going.
Right.
If you don't. So he went and he was like fully prepared. And he was like, the worst part was wearing the mask in the plane all day. Mm. So yeah, I'm like stoked. I get to watch TV, whatever I want. And
you can eat whatever you want.
Yes.
Like
you're
things
right.
he doesn't like.
Yes, I can. Or my tendency is if I find something I like, I'll eat it over and over and over until I get sick of it. And he's not like that. Like right now I'm on like baked potato kick. I could probably have a baked potato, like a stuffed baked potato for like the next like 4 days in a row and be fine. But he would be like, I can't believe you're eating that again. So.
That's like, when Steve's gone, I meal prep on the weekends, and that's what I eat on all week. And I don't think a lot of people have that ability. Mm-hmm. And sometimes I'll get sick of it by, like, Thursday, but I just power on through. Yeah. Don't want to waste food. But
and it's just easy sometimes.
Steve's coming back. I just found out today.
Is he?
He's coming home next Wednesday. He'll be home in time for the July 4th weekend. So
that's exciting.
Yeah, so I took the Monday after July 4th off. We have Friday off, of course, because it's July 4th observed. And then I took the Monday off. We're going to go to a cabin up in the mountains. A remote cabin.
Is it your cabin?
Yeah.
I forgot. Where is that? In Sedalia?
It's in St. Elmo. It's up the mountain from Salida.
Salida. Okay. Gotcha.
Yeah. So this just happened today. Like, he was like, yeah, I'm going to come home next Wednesday. I was like, what?
That's awesome.
I was so happy. So it'll be good to have him home, but it'll be an adjustment because I've been watching, Hallmark, and I am all caught up on Dirty John, the Betty Broderick story.
Oh, I missed the last episode.
So good.
I get to catch up on that.
Yes. Thankfully, I discovered how to record the past episodes on DirecTV. I think our old internet, we just recently switched. Our old internet, anytime I'd try and do that, it would sometimes fail. But new internet, no issue at all. It was awesome. So I caught up and I'm like, oh, I don't even know what day it airs.
I think it's Sundays.
Great.
I can't remember.
So I have to wait until Sunday. Because last night I watched 2.5 episodes.
2.5?
Yeah, because I was catching up still.
Oh, gotcha.
And I was like, oh no, there's no more episodes. I don't know what to do.
What?
What?
It didn't record the last episode.
I bet Dish has the same thing. You can go back and download the old one.
I don't know what's wrong with it. Because it's on episode 3, right?
I thought it was... I thought I watched 4. Maybe not.
2.
Maybe not.
I'm behind 2 episodes. I can't believe it. I'll go look. I'm sure they do. They have something. They have a lot of DVR stuff. But you should talk about your Friday night, because that was pretty cool.
You mean Saturday night?
Oh, yeah. That's Saturday night.
Friday night, I got my hair done because my hairstylist, she's not having surgery, but she has to have a cast on her wrist for 8 weeks. So I was supposed to have an appointment on July 5th. Thankfully, it got moved to last Friday because now I will be out of town July 5th. And so then on Saturday, the town of Parker, where I live, they're having this Parker Porch Party series to kind of promote social distancing, but still having a fun summer. And so Saturday was the first day of summer, which is my all-time favorite day of the year because it is the longest day of sunlight. And
summer solstice.
Yeah, I love sunlight. So now, like, I'm a little sad because I know the days are going to get shorter again. And so my neighbor was like, we should do this porch party series. So first day of summer, we're going to have a luau. And I was like, yeah, that's awesome. So we didn't have a lot of food. We had a little bit of food. We put up decorations. She made these pineapple things that she soaked in Malibu rum and then topped them with coconut milk and coconut and a maraschino cherry. And they were so good. And it was so much fun. And I got to get dressed up in my one Hawaiian outfit with the leis. And it was
Which looked good. I mean, I had no idea you weren't in Hawaii.
Thank you. We had a lot of fun. It was a really good gathering. I have great neighbors. I've never, not since growing up on the street that I grew up on, have I known my neighbors very well. And I really know the neighbors on both sides of me now. And I find it to be valuable. And then it's a little like, I'm an introvert and they're not. So they're like, come on out like once a week. And I'm just like, oh. But it's good. It gets me out of the house, gets me talking to people outside of work people and outside of you guys, gets me off the Marco Polo. I feel like that was for a while the only way I was communicating to people outside of work was Marco Polo.
I'm so jealous of your neighborhood relationships. Like I've always wanted, because I grew up in a very small town in like the outside of the city, and we knew our neighbors. I mean, like, you knew the neighbors next to you. You knew the neighbors across the street. You knew that like Grumpy Joe down the road. Like you don't walk past his house at a certain time of day because he gets upset.
You definitely don't walk in his lawn.
Right.
Yes.
Exactly. And I've never had that since becoming an adult. So like we did actually, so maybe it's like a generational thing is what I'm thinking, because when we first moved into this neighborhood, we had older neighbors on both sides, and not really older, like I would say just a generation ahead of us, they were probably in their like early 50s maybe. And they were all so nice to us when we moved in. The neighbor next door would like lend us things because, we were like a younger couple, and they were like,
right. Oh,
you don't have a saw? Here, borrow this and then go buy yourself a saw. Ever since it's kind of turned over and become people of my age,
we don't talk to each other.
Yeah, we don't talk to each other. The neighbors that move in on this side, we know them in the sense of we'll say hi and we'll talk outside, and we've seen the inside of their house and they've seen the inside of our house for like renovation purposes. But it's not like when they throw a party, they don't invite us over. And then the other neighbors on the other side, they don't even wave when I wave to them. So
everyone in our cul-de-sac waves, but my newest neighbor, not my newest anymore, my neighbor that moved in about a year ago, she's the social butterfly that has kind of like gathered us all together. Yeah.
Maybe that's it. I just need to like move in next to a social butterfly.
Right. And she's like, yeah, come on out. And so we'll see how that is when Steve comes, because he's not one to want to socialize with the neighbors, but we'll see.
Well, it's a new day and age, Steve.
He left me alone for 2 months. I made friends.
You are now Miss Neighborhood Social Butterfly.
Yeah, I'm very thankful for them. Very, very thankful for them.
Speaking of which, where is Butterfly?
She's in my lap.
Oh, okay.
She's getting groomed on Friday. Thankfully, I was finally able to find a place that could get her in. It's a new place, so fingers crossed they don't mess it up.
Yeah. Have they been really busy because of all the COVID stuff?
I think so. And the place Steve takes her is like in Westminster, which for those listening not in the Denver area, it's about an hour and a half away in Denver traffic. And I just don't have the time to take her to our normal grooming place. So I didn't know Steve was coming back, so I was like, I just need to get her groomed, because my girlfriend came over for the luau, and she was like, poor Butterfly. And I was like, why? What's wrong with Butterfly? And she's like, she just looks messy. And I like her messy and groomed, so I was like, I guess I should get her groomed. It's fine.
I will say that's one thing I'm grateful about my dogs. They are not high maintenance in terms of like needing to be groomed.
Yeah.
Like we can give them a bath on our deck and call it good.
You guys do that a lot. And my groomer told me not to bathe Butterfly. She's like, because you're not able to brush her properly and it causes mats. And I'm like, okay. So I stopped. I used to shower with her. I used to bring her in the shower with me and like use the doggy shampoo.
Yeah.
But she told me to stop doing that. So I don't do that anymore.
Oh. Yeah, these guys just jump in puddles at the dog park. So they...
Puddles full of poo.
Oh my gosh. It's literally... Luckily, it happens on weekends where we were already planning on giving them a bath. But every once in a while, I'm afraid that it's going to happen on like a night that I don't have time to clean them.
Oh.
And then I'll just be like, all right, you got to stay outside the whole night.
The whole night. Don't bark. Don't howl. This is what you've done to yourself.
Good luck.
Are you taking them to the DP with Pat away?
Yeah. So I went earlier when it was super hot. I went at like 4 o'clock because I knew we were going to sit down and chat it later. And it was like 87 degrees. Luckily, though, the clouds had kind of rolled in. So there was a little bit of relief, but it was hot. And they did not run a lot, but they are both knocked out right now. So
oh, the heat probably zapped them.
Oh, totally. But I mean, it was a shorter walk and they were way less crazy. So I'll take it.
Nice work. Solo dog mom time.
Yeah, it's good. Although they don't really listen. That's one thing I've learned is that was that your phone?
Yeah, I got a notification. It's on silent. I don't know why you heard it.
I heard buzz.
Probably buzzed against the computer.
But I forgot what I was saying. Oh, they, I just need to not discipline them.
You need to be the alpha.
We need to work on training. It's funny because they're very treat oriented. So if you have a treat in your hand, they will listen to you. But as soon as you're in a real world situation without a treat, doesn't matter.
That's no good.
So
thankfully, Butterfly is scared of the world. So if we're out in the world, she's like, Mom,
yeah.
protect me from the rest of the world.
She's adorbs.
I love her.
So I wrote down, because I felt unprepared when Amber was like, I'm not going to make it. I'm like, crap. So I wrote down a couple things.
Okay.
That I wanted to talk about. So first, I wanted to tell the story of the Marco Polo that I sent you guys this weekend.
Yes.
I think it was on Friday night. So Pat and I were coming home, and we had to cross traffic in order to get into our neighborhood.
Oh, that's right.
And there was a bag in the middle of like a full purse kind of thing in the middle of the street. And I was like, I wonder what happened. And Pat's like, oh, like, don't worry about it.
Mind your business.
He's like, there's because I was like, I wonder if there's a wallet in there. I would stop and get it and then like see if I can return the bag. And Pat was like, there's way too much traffic. He's like, if it's still there when we get back and there's not traffic, you can do that. Because we were dropping something off at the house and then we were turning around and going right back out. So on our way right back out, purse is still there, but traffic is still crazy. And then I'm looking and there's some more debris in the middle of the road. I was like, Pat, what is that? Is that an animal? Because it looked like it had a tail. And he just starts laughing. And I was like, what? He's like, oh no. He's like, that's a butt plug.
With like, a furry tail?
That is a skunk butt plug. It was like a skunk tail butt plug.
Oh my gosh.
And I was just like, do you think that was in the bag? And he goes, I don't know, maybe. He's like, maybe that's why the bag's outside. So then we keep driving, and not very far along, there is a strap-on in the middle of the road as well.
Oh my gosh.
And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm pretty sure that was a bag full of like sex toys.
how did it end up on the road?
That's what I want to know. Like the conversation about how that ended up outside of the car. Because I assume it had to come from the car because it was in the middle of the street. There's no way someone could have like launched it from the sidewalk. Although I guess they could have, and then that would have been an even funnier story. If someone was like walking on the sidewalk with their bag of sex toys, that would have been really funny.
A bag of sex toys.
So that was fun. I sent you guys some photos. And
Amber and I hadn't listened to your Marco, and we got your picture. And I looked at the picture, and I was like, is that a dead skunk? Like, similar to you. I didn't look super close. And then I watched your Marco Polo, and I went back, and I was like, oh, my gosh.
It was so crazy. I feel like that kind of stuff never happens to me. So
you had to share.
Yeah, totally. So
what else do you have?
Oh, the other thing was, so I wanted to continue our conversation, obviously, about Black Lives Matter and like making sure that that's a conversation that we continue to touch on every week. Mm-hmm. And I have not been really good this week, obviously, with trying to prepare Pat for his trip. And we're also trying to figure out housing stuff, which we can talk about at a different time. But like once we figure it out.
Right.
But so I haven't been really good about looking at and doing my research and helping to educate myself. But one thing I have been doing is doing a lot of self-reflection, just about myself in situations. And since I had you on the phone, I figured this was a really good topic. And it was workplace discrimination. Mm-hmm. And I feel like I more want to talk about the situations that I've been in and talk to you about, like, I just want your perspective from like an HR perspective. I understand that you're a different part.
Right.
Of
I'm in the HR family.
Yes. But having been around corporate HR for probably a while.
10 plus years.
So two things. One, I work in tech, and to find other women in tech is pretty rare. So I will say a majority of my meetings are male centric. I'm usually one of one woman or one of two women, or in a meeting full of like 15 people.
I wonder why that is.
I mean, I definitely think it's STEM stuff. Like, I'm interested to see what the next generation, like my sister's generation, because I know a lot of them took science and math and all of that.
They start coding in like first grade now.
Right. It's a completely different world than like when I grew up and when you grew up. I mean, we did Mavis Beacon teach us typing in like 7th grade, but that was the first time I ever had a computer in my
DOS
classroom.
Yeah.
But so I was in a meeting the other day. All men. It was like there were like 20 some people, all men except for one other woman, and they were talking about something that was a topic that I knew a lot about, and so I would chime in with comments or questions or whatnot. And the other woman who was in the meeting with me IM'd me, and she goes, "If I had $1 for every time a man cut you off," she's like, "I would have been $50 richer in this meeting alone."
Right.
And so I started thinking about that, and I was like, why is that? And is it me? And I don't feel like it's me, because I've been told a lot that I'm a bulldog.
Are you?
In the workplace, I am.
Okay. Bulldog Ashley. Can I call our podcast that this week?
Sure.
Okay. You're not going to be offended?
No, not at all.
Okay.
Because it's weird. Like, even Pat says it. He's like, you have this bulldog personality that comes out when like it's a topic that needs it. But it's just weird that sometimes I feel like I don't let it get to me consciously that men do that kind of thing. But one of the things I definitely want to look into is, how do you address that with those people? without doing, not that I necessarily want to say, oh, is it because I'm a woman?
Right.
But I want to say it in such a way to say, hey, you should take my opinion more seriously because of the fact that I'm just knowledgeable in this area. So have you ever had a situation like that?
So I work in an industry that is predominantly men. I work in the mining industry, and even the industry before this was telecom, and then before that was transportation. So I've worked in male-dominated industries my entire career, and that as I've progressed in my career, I have found more confidence. I still struggle with confidence, but there are those quote unquote bully types where as soon as they become passionate about it and they want to, beat their chest with their fists, it's very easy for me to cower down because they'll talk over me, they'll interrupt me, and I actually had a situation this week where I anticipated that was going to be happening due to a situation. So I just prepared myself to be more of a listener because I feel like males in general, they're not always good at listening. They're kind of good at projecting. And so I think I have changed the way I address people like that. It's not easy, especially when it comes out of nowhere and you're like, what? Where did that come from? And to have a constructive conversation sometimes can't happen with those people because they do want to, pound their chests.
Butt heads. Oh my gosh.
And just listening to them and, letting them know that you hear them and then trying to progress the conversation. I found that to be successful this week. And then there's those situations like you were saying where you know what you're talking about, but they talk over you. They interrupt you. A way to address it, that's a tough one because, maybe they don't understand. Maybe it's unconscious that they're doing that. An unconscious bias they don't even understand. Maybe, addressing them one-on-one, saying, hey, Bob, after the meeting. Hey, Bob, we were having a great conversation. I really valued your perspective, but I did notice that you interrupted me. You talked over me. Maybe you could be a little bit more conscious when talking in bigger groups. Don't even make it a female thing. Make it an Ashley thing. And, maybe be more conscious in future group discussions.
That's definitely a good tip.
Just to... Maybe because they may not know.
Yeah, no, that's very true. I feel like I'm going through my managerial classes again.
Sorry.
No. But that's what, just in general, managing. That's one thing I've always kind of complained about with the whole manager process is you get training right away when you're a manager and all that stuff is like
hopefully
on the tip of your tongue and like on your mind. So you learn about unconscious bias and all of those types of things. And then now here we are 2 years later, I've never had a refresher. And that's just something that I'm expected to continue to work on myself. And I don't have the time. I would love to. I just don't have the time. But the other one, and really this is the one that I was thinking of most, the situation most relevant, and one I personally have not been good about standing up to is, again, in the tech industry, we have a lot of non-native, or how am I saying this?
They're not U.S. They're not natural U.S. citizens.
Exactly.
They're either on visas or they're permanent residents or they've obtained their citizenship after birth.
Yes, exactly. And specifically a lot of people from India I work with. And they, depending on what area from India they're in, they have very strong accents. And I'll be the first to admit that it took me probably a good couple months to really understand and and listen and be able to comprehend the different accents. Because, some people speak really, really fast and it makes it harder to understand what they're saying. But really, it just is one of those things that you have to train your ear, and you just have to be a better version of yourself.
And I don't think there's anything wrong with asking someone, because when I first started in my telecom recruiting, I was doing a lot of recruiting in the Coral Gables, Miami area of Florida, and there's a lot of Cuban individuals, and I don't think there's anything wrong as you're working to train your ear, asking, hey, I didn't quite understand what you said. Could you maybe rephrase that and then work through understanding? Because that is a way to train your ears, I think. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Do you?
No,
because you need to understand what they're communicating.
Exactly. And in the same aspect, we could very well have a strong accent to them that they don't quite understand, which is always something I've been intrigued by. Like, why do you hear yourself as normal, but everyone else has an accent? And like, what do English people sound like to themselves as opposed to like Americans? This is where my brain goes. But I digress. So the situation that I'm talking about is there's a gentleman that I work with who is, I would totally describe him as the stereotypical white male, privileged male in his role. And he has made several comments to me in the past about how he doesn't understand what those Indians are saying. And he will make, I would say, derogatory comments towards them. And I have always tried to take the more PC approach as opposed to the more direct approach, to encourage him on exactly what you and I are talking about, that, maybe you should ask him to rephrase it if you don't understand, or get it in writing if you don't understand what he said over the phone. And I told Pat the other day, I said, I'm very conscious that this person at work is going to make a comment to me again in the future about the same thing. And because of the situation we're in, I don't think I can bite my tongue.
I don't think you should.
And I think I would be Bulldog Ashley back to him, and probably harsher than I would mean to be. Just because I feel like I would be frank, and I would be like, really, in this situation, in this day and age, you're going to say something like that? But, he said several things to me before where I'm just, I kind of look at him, and it's one of those things where, how do you still think about things like this?
I think that's what you should say. I think it could hopefully make him pause and go, whoa, she's right. Yeah. If hopefully not, it plants a seed, and hopefully someone else will call him out on his BS down the line.
It's true. Okay. That makes me feel a little better, just because I kind of want to, I don't think I would ever be fired for defending something like that.
I don't think there's anything wrong with that, as long as you're not attacking him or being derogatory toward him. Just, call, hey, what are you doing? That's not right.
Yeah, exactly. So, okay. Well, thanks for talking through that with me.
No worries. Do you want to jump into some Bachelor World news?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. So, Ashley did a lot of work and provided us with a lot of great stories to talk about this week. Sorry, Ashley. Or not Ashley, Amber. Oh my gosh. It's been forever.
I was like, I did?
No, Amber. On her road trip, she added a bunch of links to the notes.
I didn't even notice. Good job, Amber.
Yeah. So let's see. First up, Kelly Flanagan slammed Chris Harrison for asking disrespectful, in quotes, questions about Peter Weber. I guess when it was last week, Caitlyn's recap. Kelly and
no, they had he had
Madison
and Hannah Ann.
And of course the topic came up of Peter and Kelly, and Chris was, he didn't really hold anything back. And
he was blunt.
He was. And Kelly was upset that Chris brought brought it up to Hannah and Madison's on TV. And she asked on Instagram, why are these disrespectful questions still being asked? The past is the past. Let everyone move on in peace. I agree with her.
I do agree with her, but at the same time, like, they allowed Peter and her to have their where are we now situation. They had never done the same thing with Hannah Ann and Madison. So I think it's only fair to give them the same fair shot that they gave Peter.
And Madison and Hannah Ann both responded with grace and not slamming them.
Yeah.
Chris gave them the opportunity, but they were like, no, we're better than that.
Yes. Yeah. So, I mean, it's... And let's be honest, Chris probably didn't choose all of the questions he asked them.
Right. Right. There's producers on this show.
Exactly.
I don't know if we've talked about that.
He might be in his house using his son as production, but there's still a producer somewhere else.
And then along the lines with Caitlin's recap, I guess Jason Tartick was offered the chance to propose to Caitlin on that episode.
I read that too.
Yeah.
I'm glad he didn't.
Yes. And he took the time to think about it, and he decided no. He said that, especially, think about that. He proposed right after watching her say yes to Sean.
Awkward. And they've only been dating for like a year and a half, right?
Yeah. But they're pretty serious. They're living together and stuff.
No. I agree that they're serious, and I never say that like time period has to do anything with anything.
Right. And he didn't want their story to align with the showing. And he told Caitlin afterwards, and she was like, thank goodness you did not do that.
Yeah. That's like what I kept telling Pat, that if he ever proposed at a sporting event, I would say no.
Ooh. Sidebar. Baseball's coming back.
Yeah.
Are you so pumped? I thought that you guys were going to like bombard me with baseball love.
Well, yeah, I mean, I'm stoked about it, but it's, it's going to be different because there's not going to be fans, and it's, we can't actually go to a game. I told Pat, I was like, think about the fact that we went to spring training of a season that basically didn't happen. We were some of the only few people to watch live baseball in the year of 2020.
That's true. I actually don't mind watching baseball on TV or listening on the radio. I like the announcer, those famous announcer voices. I just remember growing up with those. So anyway.
Oh my gosh. Wait, one more thing about this sidebar, because you were talking about announcers. If you know anything about baseball, the best announcer, maybe not the best, but the best in my opinion was Vince Scully, who he retired a couple years ago, but he used to do the Dodgers. And he was one of the only people, or maybe the only people, who could do the whole game by himself. He was color commentary, and he was also the game commentary. And he was amazing. And even though I was not a huge Dodgers fan, I would always watch Dodgers game just to listen to him.
That's awesome.
Anyway, I agree with you.
Okay, back on track. Speaking of Caitlin Bristow again, she had a birthday. She turned 35, and her beau, Jason Tartick, made sure she was treated like a queen. He created a montage of Caitlin's friends and family sending her special birthday messages. And then he also started the day with them being in the kitchen. Right after her workout, he told her she was getting a 90-minute massage. Then her best friend surprised her in Nashville, and they did a sunset boat cruise party type situation. Super awesome.
It was really cute. I do enjoy Caitlin's Instagram.
She's so great.
Her Instagram stories. Her and like Chrissy Teigen, I think, are my two favorite.
Yeah. This next one, I'm kind of glad Amber's not on the call, because she would eye roll like crazy. Nick Viall was in the news after
was he?
Yes. So after he was on Caitlin's recap, he had posted a couple selfies, and fans took things a little too far when they criticized Nick's body and accused him of being too thin and not eating enough. So he posted a photo, and he did look very thin. It was one of the photos that I saw right before our last podcast, and I was like, he looks good. I guess I like my men skinny. And then he posted the next day another mirror selfie with a slightly different angle and snapped it with a digital camera rather than his phone. And he put, "Dear Internet, I never thought you'd make me self-conscious about my body. Yet I woke up to hundreds of comments about my last post about my weight, eating habits, and mental health, all from posting a post-workout pic where I looked particularly lean. I've never lacked confidence about my body. I know that isn't news to most of you, but if the internet can get to me, it can get to anyone. So I'm just saying, be careful with your words before you give your feedback on people's physical, emotional, and mental health. I don't want to even admit that the comments made me feel self-conscious, but I assume many of you would think I can't be bothered, so I'm here to say it. I hope that's okay."
So I feel like, Amber, if you're listening, I'm not going to assume that she listens because I don't always listen right away.
Right.
I do eventually listen, but I don't always listen right away. But I think that's really good of him because
he's a very confident he's very cocky.
So, like, I think that's good of him. And I also want to be like, welcome to life as a woman.
Right?
Like, we don't even need the internet to make comments on our body. We just need to compare ourselves to, which we shouldn't.
Every single person.
And it's like the comments are in our head. So.
Right. So that's the Bachelor news that I have. Do you have any other Bachelor news?
I thought I saw one other thing, but maybe not. I think we're good.
Okay. Now we have more Big Brother news. Rumors.
I really hope Big Brother happens.
So I guess there's still possible All-Stars 2 season for Big Brother 2020. But Reality Barbecue put together a list of cities where CBS advertised a field producer would be doing a one-day gig. Denver's not on it. We have Miami, Queens, San Diego, Detroit, Minneapolis, Trenton, New Jersey, Savannah, Houston, and Dallas. So
why are they doing Denver? Because it's like the one city on that list that is not having coronavirus issues right now.
Right. But then Evil Dick, do you know who he is?
Mm-mm.
He was on a season long ago on Big Brother. But he's been sharing a lot of potential leads, too. He claims that, yes, both Josh and Casey from, I think, the season before last were going to be back for the new All-Star season. And Josh had already been calling and building alliances. So we'll see.
Ooh, I don't know how I feel about that.
I know, right? Like, that would be the problem.
That's like the one thing, I guess, about Celebrity All-Star. That takes it to a whole new level. Mm-hmm. Oh, I'm going to have to talk to Pat about that.
And the rumors are that it may start in late July. We'll see. I don't believe that.
Well, late July, they'd have to have like the cast and crew figured out, I would say, in the next like week.
Right? But this is late June.
That's assuming that they're going to take our advice, which the producers should listen to our show so that they can take our advice, but and give them like a 2-week quarantine before they put them in the house.
Right. Did this happen this week? Holly and Jackson broke up.
Yeah, I think it happened this week.
My days run together. That they were one of the only people that I remember from this last season, because I do think this last season was a little bit of a dud. And so I'm hoping they do something a little spicier when they do come back.
It was my first full season watching it.
So yeah, you don't know. That was not a good full first season to watch.
Oh, it's good to know.
Yeah, it was so bland. And then Juneteenth happened this last Friday, getting off of Bachelor World News. And do you want to talk about the memo that Jeff Bezos sent out to Amazon employees about Juneteenth? Are you prepared to speak to it?
I am not, no.
Okay. So Amazon CEO Jeff Bezos, he is joining a list. What? Yeah. Bezos?
I don't think there's an N in there.
There's not. Did I say Benzos? Like Bezos. Bezos?
Bezos?
Bezos. That sounds right. He's joining a list of tech leaders calling for their companies to commemorate Juneteenth, which happened already. So last week, on Tuesday before Juneteenth, he sent out a memo that encouraged his company to cancel all meetings on Juneteenth, which was Friday. And as we have learned, Juneteenth celebrates the emancipation of Black people from slavery in the U.S. On that date in 1865, Union General Gordon Granger read the Emancipation Proclamation to African Americans. So rather than making it a company holiday, Amazon will offer they offered a range of online learning opportunities for employees throughout the day. He added that employees should take some time to reflect, learn, and support each other. Other leaders, Jack Dorsey, CEO of Twitter, and Square, said last week that both companies will honor Juneteenth as a company holiday. While Google had instructed employees to cancel meetings that day, Facebook also encouraged its employees to commemorate Juneteenth with a day of learning. Other companies and organizations like Nike and the National Football League made Juneteenth a holiday.
Yeah. So I think I have mixed feelings about this, because I think it's good that companies are doing things, and I also think it's good, like, doing things to show support for it. I also think it's good that companies are offering things like learning opportunities. Mm-hmm. But to blanketly tell your employees to cancel meetings that day, but you still have to work, but take a moment of reflection, because I work with a company that took it off as like a day of reflection and remembrance. I don't feel like it is necessarily doing it justice. I feel like you need both, and I feel like you need to separate both. I think, one, it needs to be celebrated as an actual holiday. And two, I think separately, but equally as important, companies should do maybe learnings for their employees. But I would say what would be even more helpful is specifically how those companies are working towards equality within their own walls.
Right.
I think that, to me, would be more important as an employee to say, okay, and look at and learn about everything my company is doing for not only in remembrance of Juneteenth, but also, June being Pride Month. Like, what is my company doing for all of the above?
Right.
So I feel like some, and I don't know, maybe I'm thinking about this wrong, because, like 4th of July, it's a holiday, everyone gets it off. There's no meeting scheduled. I feel like to not call it a holiday, but like to act like it's a holiday is kind of a cop-out, if that makes sense.
It does. And I think we may see Juneteenth as a federal holiday down the road. We'll see.
That's where it needs to come from, to be honest.
Yeah. And then I know that Amber wanted to talk about this, how Beauty Counter is moving to Sephora. They're a clean makeup brand. Did she put that in there? I'm assuming she did.
Sure she did.
That's so her. So Beauty Counter and Sephora announced that they're joining on Tuesday. And that was the same day that Beauty Counter was named to CNBC's 2020 Disruptor 50 list of the world's most innovative startups. And on August 7th, it will launch an assortment of some of its most popular products, such as its vitamin C serum and overnight face peel in Sephora stores. The products will hit Sephora's website even sooner, on July 7th, which is just in a few days, for a limited time. So that's exciting news.
Yeah, I'm sure she wanted to talk about that. We can just tell her she can say it again, because it'll still be like next week. She'll still have time.
Yeah,
to talk about it.
Have a whole week. So those are our news stories. I guess we could talk about Ben Higgins' recap show.
Yeah, we should. He's your favorite, so.
He is. I was so excited. I forgot about a lot of the girls on his season. I still follow Lace. I love Lace. Do you follow Lace, Morris?
No.
Okay.
No.
I followed her since she was on
the one from Denver, right?
Yeah. I've followed her since she was on Ben's season, and she's one of the few that I haven't unfollowed. I think Ben and her are the only ones I haven't unfollowed from his season. And I love her. She's a realtor in Denver, and she is just hilarious. I really love her. I know maybe, like, watching her on Ben's season, I was, like, a little cringy. Like, she was making a bit of a fool of herself, but I do love her.
I remember there was a lot of... Okay, so I didn't watch Ben's season, and I wanted to ask you about this. But I remember specifically a bunch of the guys that I work with, their wives and girlfriends were, like, really into Ben's season. And I thought it had to do something with Denver. But
yeah, Ben lives in Denver.
Okay, well, I knew that. But, like, they didn't talk about that at all during that. He kept talking about Indiana. So that's why I was, like, a little confused. I was like, I thought he was from Denver. I was like, maybe he moved to Denver after. But I just remember that they were talking about there was so much drama with one of the girls on his season who they said that he knew previously.
I don't think so.
Okay, so that was just made up in my head.
Yeah.
Okay.
Not that I recall.
Like, I was, like, waiting for it. I was waiting for the drama.
That would have definitely been brought up.
Right. And because it wasn't, I was like, okay, maybe I got this wrong.
I forgot the twins were on his season. The twins.
The one girl showed up in Paradise. This is kind of cool that I'm, like, making the connection, the dots with, like, some of the Paradise people who I'm like, I have no idea who that is.
Right. And, you know, the fact that he was in love with the last two women, it was so dramatic. And I wasn't as into Ben at that time. I wasn't a big fan of Lauren. I wanted him to choose JoJo, but I guess it's good that he didn't, because now we get JoJo's recap this next week.
I do. I liked JoJo. I really liked her personality. Mm-hmm. Lauren, okay, so I went down a rabbit hole because I was like, this is not the same girl that married Chris Lane. She looks completely different.
I think she's gotten thinner.
Well, she's definitely gotten thinner. I would say she probably lost like 15 pounds at least.
And she was already really small.
Yeah, she was. But I felt like there was something different with her nose, too.
Oh, you think she had some nose work?
Yeah, I almost feel like she had some nose work. But I got down a rabbit hole because I was like, how long after they broke up did she start dating Chris Lane? And, like, how did they meet? And I, like, felt like I wasn't really investigating that much. But how did they meet?
I think it was just, like, at a concert or something. So, after The Bachelor, Ben and Lauren had their own spin-off show. It was, like, Ben and Lauren something Happily Ever After.
Which, didn't they learn from, like, Jessica and Nick Lachey?
Right.
Like, don't do a spin-off show.
And then they broke up. And it was, I want to say, quite a while after that. And she started dating Chris Lane. But her and Chris Lane moved very quickly. Like, within a year or two of meeting, they got married.
Well, this is like my creepy Instagram stalking. I think like her first post with him was in like October of 2018, and then they were like married by October of 2019.
Yeah, it was super fast.
So, very fast. Very fast. It got really dark.
Sidebar. There was a couple that are getting divorced that I was very surprised at this week. Michael Ray and Carly Pierce, the country music couple that got married less than a year ago.
Yeah, I didn't know who those were.
And
Carly Pierce. Oh,
she was just on Caitlin Bristow's podcast. Probably recorded a long time ago and talked about her and Michael Ray. And it's interesting. You think it's a result of quarantine? They said it wasn't.
Could have been.
Yeah.
It could have also been one of those situations where we've talked about it before, that sometimes you don't realize you're with the wrong person until you get married or you make that commitment. Mm-hmm. So it could have been one of those situations where she just didn't figure it out in the dating process.
Which could be why Ben and Lauren broke up. But he seems super happy with Jessica.
Yeah, she's cute. She seems young though.
Yeah.
Like just her everything about her seems young, which is it's not a problem. It's good.
As long as he likes it. Yeah.
Exactly.
And I guess they just recently parted ways. Like they've been spending the last 3 months together due to quarantine. He's back in Denver and she's back in Nashville, I think. Mm-hmm. And she posted something about being apart for the first time in 3 months. Aw.
I do agree because she made the comment on there about how being in a long distance relationship sometimes makes the connection go quicker. Mm-hmm. Or,
more
build
intense.
Quicker, more intense, which I do agree with because Pat and I did long distance for almost a year. And I would say our relationship was really, really strong after that.
It definitely builds the trust. You have to have the trust or you'll go insane.
Trust, and you have to be able to talk about things and talk about deep things, and because you can't rely on anything physical or being around that person.
Right.
So,
that's true. Yeah. So do you have any additional thoughts about Ben's season recap?
No, just the comment. It was really interesting. It was, and I don't. I think there was a lot of drama about him saying "I love you" to both people. I get where he was coming from, like especially when he explained it at the end, where he was like, "In that moment, I was in love with both of them, and I did not want them to walk away thinking that I did not love them." Because sometimes, and I would say a lot of the times, they talk about that they truly were only in love with one person. Mm-hmm. And that they knew it was that person from, like, I don't know, the beginning.
Week 1, yeah.
Right. And so this was a situation where it was clear that he was not like that. He clearly had his heart open for at least both of those women. So I get where he's coming from, although it's definitely way harder in the end, because if you are told, I love you, you assume you are going to be the one that gets picked.
Right.
And so I totally
like
get
JoJo said, she didn't expect him to say it. Like, she's like, can he even say that right now? But he did. And so it made her believe she was the one.
Right. Right. And then the other thing with the whole Kaylin, so this is where I thought.
Kaylin and Dean.
Yeah, Kaylin and Dean. And I was thinking, Janet's going to roll her eyes.
Yeah. So I didn't even put it in my notes.
So excited. But
they don't want the government involved. But
it doesn't really change anything, is all I want to tell them.
Uh-huh. It just makes it harder for one of them to leave.
Yeah.
It doesn't make it impossible. It just makes it more complicated.
Right. Yeah. But, I mean, it's cute that they're both wearing rings.
But they've only been together a year. Let's see how they are in a year from now.
Very true.
See, I don't like them. I'm sorry. It's Kaylin. I don't like Kaylin, and I think they're cute. I had no investment in Dean, so he's fine.
I think they're cute together. They're not my favorite couple.
No. But. So next week we get to see JoJo's season, which I didn't watch, so I'm excited to see the recap of that.
I'm excited too, because this is the guy who went to Vandy right after I left.
Yes.
So I'm excited.
Mr. Rogers.
Yes.
What's his first name?
Jordan.
Okay, I didn't want to say the wrong one, because there's the sports player and then there's JoJo. Right. Yeah, Jordan.
Yeah, he technically played football too, but just not as good as his brother.
Got it. Well, what are you watching? What are you listening to? What are you reading?
Ugh. Like nothing.
I already shared that you got me onto Dirty John, the Betty Broderick story. I did download a book that I have. I was listening to all the way up until I called you for this podcast, because I only have 46 minutes left. It's called The Girl Who Lived, and it's by Christopher Grayson. So good.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, it's starting to rain. Hold on, I'm putting you on the side really quickly.
Are you outside?
No, I can hear it from our skylights.
Oh, it definitely looks like it can rain here.
Oh yeah, I forget you're a little farther down south than I am. So it must be good if you only have 45 minutes left.
And I started it on Saturday.
That's great.
Yeah, I love audiobooks. I did just get a physical book in the mail, but I don't know what it's called, and it's upstairs. But it looks... when I Googled, if you liked The Girl on the Train, you should check out these books.
Wait, is that the book you're reading, you said?
No.
Oh, okay.
I was just looking for something new, and I want to get an actual book. So I got this, and it's upstairs. And so maybe next week I will have it handy to discuss what it's called.
Nice. I did, so I started, we record the Today Show, and so I started like watching it back a little bit this week. And I forget Jenna Bush Hager, who is on the third hour of Today. She like does a book series, and they had her, and she like her entire mantle was covered in books. And so I felt inspired, and I haven't started any yet, but I started looking up her book list recommendation because I think I'm going to start running through some of her books.
Awesome.
But I haven't started them yet. But other than that, I'm not like watching anything major.
I'm excited to hear what you watch this weekend on next week's podcast.
I feel like I'm going to try to clean out the DVR.
Yeah.
Like, so it'll probably be stuff from like 2 years ago. I will say one thing I did the other day, they were replaying Jurassic Park over the weekend, I think for Father's Day.
That makes sense.
And so I like really got into it, and I went and got our Blu-rays out, and I watched all four. The first three, and then the first one of like the Jurassic World.
There's that many?
They're about to release the sixth one.
Why?
They're good. Chris Pratt is in the new ones, so it's worth it.
Oh, I do like him.
But
awesome. Well, do you have a positive Polly? Please tell me you brought it. Oh, thank goodness.
I looked one up.
I know that Amber canceled last minute, so.
Yeah, I know. You want to go first?
No, positive Polly goes before wine book.
Okay. So, happiness is not by chance, but by choice.
It's very true.
Jim Ron.
I've got number 44 in the wine book, and it's spiced wine served cold makes an unusual aperitif. In a glass, demijohn? What's that?
You picked the one that has all these big words in it.
So you mix 3 bottles, or about 2 liters of white wine with 2 cinnamon sticks, a vanilla pod, half a nutmeg, the peel of 4 oranges, and 450 grams of sugar. Then add 300 milliliters of vodka, cork it, and leave it for a month. Then strain it into a bottle and leave for another month before drinking. It's a lot of waiting.
Yeah. So I looked it up. An aperitif is, which you might have known, I didn't, an alcoholic drink taken before a meal to stimulate the appetite.
Ooh. So it makes you hungry.
Yeah.
And what's the other, what was the other word?
What was the other word?
Don John or something? Demijohn. Like Demijohn.
Demijohn. Oh, it looks like it's a type of bottle.
Ah. Is it fancy?
Yes, it is a type of bottle. No, it almost looks like
a pitcher.
It kind of looks like the big bottles that you put on the water container.
Huh.
But they can be like bigger and rounder at the bottom and just have like a straight neck.
Got it. Cool.
3 to 10 gallons of liquid.
Very nice. Well, Ashley, thank you so much for joining me for the podcast.
It was fun.
Yes, it was. Hopefully we'll be back next week with all 3.
Yeah.
And so, yeah. All right. Bye.
Bye.